Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to RCI TV. The Monday Championship returns from its Summer Cup with a bang. We're here for the Lamborghini Super Cup on the return of the fully fledged Monday Championship. My name is Ryan Gill. I'll be your lead host for this evening. We've got Jake Boswell behind the cameras, and Joshua Devonshire will be alongside me for this season. We have Lamborghini GT3s and Lamborghini Super Trofeos out on a track today. 5 rounds across the next 5 weeks. And we start it all here in South Africa under the sunshine at Kyalami. Joshua, it's exciting to start the championship at a familiar circuit where we've done so many races here before, and it's looking to be probably one of the most exciting championships we've ever hosted on Mondays with this many cars on track.
Oh yeah, I think we counted in practice, was it 44 cars on track, so that at Kyalami, it's already very, very tight, very difficult to overtake, so it's going to be a bit of a spectacle for everyone, I think, especially for us in the comms box, as we see. I'm not sure who that was, but somebody's spinning off at the S's there, and I don't think that's going to be the first time we're going to see that this evening, guys.
No, definitely not. And to kind of put the car count into perspective, 51 cars in a single split for this season. We don't have all 51 here tonight. In fact, as I look down at the moment, we have 46 out of the 51 drivers that will be attending across the course of this championship. So 5 sign-outs for the evening. And, it's still going to be quite busy out there. Of course, we have the GT3s and Super Trofeos, and you will see, judging by the timing board as well, that we have multiple different driver skill levels on track. We have pros, silvers, and AMs in the GT3. We technically have rookies as well, but they're labeled as AM with the red marker board on them. And then we also have pro and AM in the Super Trofeo class as well. And we have some very, very big hitters in the Super Trofeo class. I mean, Mikhail Sundstrom, Alexander Guglia, Wolf Matushka, Chris Rubelar, despite the fact he's not here today, Andy Boardman. So the Super Trofeo class in the, Super Trofeo class in the pro category is looking pretty interesting, but we definitely have a lot of familiar names around the Monday Championship as well. And it's a bit of an opportunity for, some of the AM and silver drivers that usually don't get the chance to compete all in the top split, just have a little bit of a go as well. There'll be live stewarding here tonight, and of course for the rest of the championship, we will be bringing every round to you at the same time every single week. So make sure to tune in on the weekly on Monday evenings for the Lamborghini Super Cup. But we get towards the end of practice. It is the reigning champion from the NSX Summer Cup, Ataberk Ertan, that leads the way in practice right now in the number 14 Lamborghini. And, well, in the GT3 class at least, Joshua, he's got to be the favourite.
Oh yeah, he's a name we see fairly frequently, and he's proved himself to be a very, very quick driver. But then again, commentators curse. You sing the praises of someone and cheats are catching him out, which again, that's going to be a theme for the night. I think he won't be the first. He's not going to be the last. And no, looking at the GT3s, there's a couple of strong names there. We've got Matthew Kingston Lee, another really quick driver we've seen at times before. Nico Quizma's really quick. So I think both classes of car, the racing is going to be incredibly close. Jordan Daly, again, we've seen him before in the Triple R car, very, very quick in the 197 coming into the S's now. And obviously it's free practice, and obviously these times don't really mean too much, but the times will mean something as we go into qualifying.
Yeah, they will mean something as we go into qualifying. We're just awaiting the end of practice now. A few more cars still out on the circuit. And qualifying tonight will be done in the form of a 21-minute qualifying session. So a little bit of an explanation for anyone who is new around here tonight and doesn't know how multi-class qualifying works here at RCI. The way it's going to work is, for the first 10 minutes of this 21-minute session, we will have the Super Trofeo cars go out first. Those are the Super Trofeo Pros and AMs. They will go out. They have 10 minutes to set their laps. Once the 11-minute mark happens, so 11 minutes left of the session, They have to finish any laps that they started before their slot ended and then return to pit lane. And they have a little bit of an overlap minute just to finish up any laps that they did start right before the session ended for their slot. And then the final 10 minutes are purely for the GT3 cars to go out there and show their stuff. Qualifying is underway then. We're looking at Alexander Guglia here, and then we switch quickly to Stefan Van Aken, who is one of the first cars out on track. So it is the Super Trofeo cars first, and quite a unique situation for us here, Joshua. Not a car that we get to talk about very often in ACC or in sim racing in general.
No, it really doesn't seem to get an awful lot of love unless, I mean, when it's RCI and it's Lamborghini, you can guarantee you're involved in some way, Ryan. But yeah, no, the Super Trofeo, it's such a fun car to drive. It really doesn't get enough love. Such a unique car to drive as well. I think in terms of pace, the only car that really comes close is the Porsche Cup car. Another car that doesn't seem to get anywhere near the attention that it really needs. But it's, as I say, it's similar to the GT3, but in some ways it really isn't. It's a car you really have to sort of drive both to kind of understand the difference. It's a little bit understeery. I feel like it requires a bit more setup, but it's a unique challenge, and I feel like that is one reason why a lot of these drivers have gone. You know, we typically see them in the faster car, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to the racing here. I'm looking forward to it's going to be tight. There's a lot of talent, especially with Matushka, we're watching with right now. There's a lot of talent in this particular class, and it's going to be entertaining.
It is going to be entertaining indeed. And to start us off for the Super Trofeo session, it is going to be RCI and Nearly On Pace's very own Mikael Sundström. So he comes around the final corner now, and we'll go on board for a Super Trofeo lap with Mikael Sundström. Here we go then, down towards turn 1, the kink, completely flat in any car. As you come down through here and you head down towards the braking zone at Cawthorne. Nice and late on the brakes here. Get the car turned in nice and early. Don't clip the curb on the inside. Run it just a little bit wide as you come up through the Yuxke sweep, and then avoid the curb on the inside there as you lean into barbecue. Ride this curve as you like. Stretch it out wide on the exit curves as well, and make your run down towards Sunset. Fantastic long right-hand corner here. Hold as high a gear as you dare. You can see Mikael Sundström just holding 4th gear through there. As he goes nice and wide, doesn't hit the grass, comes into the clubhouse bend, rides the curb on the inside, doesn't maximize too much of the exit, but doesn't feel the need to. Then we come into the S's. This is where the undulation really does begin. Dip down as you go through the first sequence, and then up the hill towards the hairpin at the top of the circuit, Liukov. Here we go, nice and late on the brakes. You want to look for that stewarding outpost on the left-hand side of the track. Get the car turned in early and maximize the amount of speed you can carry down the straight now as we go down Mineshaft and towards the famous Crocodiles as well. Nice left-hand kink there. Into the Crocodiles we go, late on the brakes. Get the car turned in sharpish onto this curb. Use as much of the exit as you can. Don't invalidate your lap. And then it's Cheetah, the make or break corner. Don't hit the curb on the inside. Ride the exit as smooth as you like. Brake at the 50-meter board. And then around the final corner, riding the curb just slightly. Maximize the exit to get as much straight line speed as you can up towards the timing line. Mikael Sundström will go. It's a 1:45.168. To start the session off, Stefan Van Aken will come over the line just about 1.3 seconds down, but then Andy Vordman and Wolf Matushka will go quicker, with Wolf Matushka throwing the car into the 44s firmly with a 44.598.
Yeah, we're going to start seeing the times coming in quite thick and fast, actually, with Alexander Gugli, I believe, having set their time as well, going provisional 3rd. And yeah, it goes to show just how much kind of talent, we have at the moment, just out on the field. And that is, Wolf Matushka is still provisional pole. Looking at the 63 car going into provisional 10th. Obviously, I say provisional because, obviously these cars, there's still time to set another lap. There's still time for the likes of Boardman and Guglia and even Sundström to kind of take a look at the situation and try to make something happen. Van Aken in the amateur class there, kind of leading the amateur class provisionally in 7th. And we've got the number 13 car of Nicholas Smith. And they are starting their other lap, going through Clubhouse, going towards Subset. Oh, actually, I think that was Barbecue, sorry, going down towards Sunset, so I get my corners mixed up. And they are currently up on their delta by 4/10, according to my timing sheet. So that was a really, really good corner exit for them, and they kind of have to make this one stick.
There's a lot of time that can be gained or lost around here, and that is Mikael Sundstrom going wide. That won't be an invalidated lap time, fortunately, for Mikael Sundstrom. Will improve on his time. I think that was as close to the limit as you could get with track limits on the final corner. Andy Waldemar will come across the line as well. Will slightly improve on his lap time as well. Here we have Alexander Guglia in another one of the nearly on-pace cars, crossing the line as well. And, well, it's looking pretty close for... the challenging positions for provisional pole in the Super Trofeo class, in the Pro class at the very least. Wolf Matuszka about 2/10 ahead of Sundstrom, but then it's very, very close between Sundstrom, Boardman, Guglia, and then Tom Otti not too far behind. Joe Dorber just a bit further behind them. Classes could still be tweaked slightly after round one. It is entirely possible that a couple of drivers could change what class they're in at the end of this race. So that would be something to keep in mind. But as it looks right now, everyone just going around setting their laps. We do have quite a few new drivers here today to RCI and to the Monday Championship in general. So I think quite a few drivers just out there feeling their feet at the moment, because it's a bit overwhelming if it's your first time in a competitive league race, should we say, Joshua?
Yeah, I think even for the more experienced drivers as well, it's the first race of the season. You know, it's a new track. Obviously, the practice servers go up during the week as well, and like in the run up to the event. So the cars won't be new to the drivers. But when you actually, it's one thing being in practice, but it's another thing when you're actually in the event. You know, you've done practice, you're into qualifying, and it's the first real laps that kind of make a difference. And, you know, it's the first laps that really matters. You see Stefan Van Aken have a massive snap of oversteer going through the final turn there. So, yeah, anxieties can kind of come in quite high, really, at the start of the season. Obviously, everyone's finding their pace, and you find kind of where you fit in regards to everybody else, especially if you're new to the series. So, yeah, it's the first qualifying of the season is always the first interesting laps, I'd say.
Yeah, and the Super Trofeo car is not a car that many drivers will be super familiar with. I imagine that this is the first time a lot of these drivers have tried the Super Trofeo properly for a championship for the very first time. It doesn't get used much within ACC around most of the communities. You do see the odd events now and then, but you definitely don't see this car too often, and it is, you know, probably even less used than the Porsche Cup and GT4 cars, which, you know, don't really have the number or popularity as the GT3 class. But the Super Trofeos definitely do struggle to attract the popularity. And there is something about them that I think quite a few people probably don't like. They can be horrible at certain circuits to drive. I think at Kyalami it's not too bad. Silverstone, it's quite nice as well. But there are some circuits like, I believe our pre-qualifying circuit for the season, Barcelona, there was a lot of complaints about how poor the car felt to drive around there, but the drivers will have to get used to it. There's always going to be circuits where the car doesn't perform well and where it does perform well, but fortunately to start the season here, they have a nice circuit. We have just over a minute left of the Super Trofeo session slot, so when you see that qualifying timer tick down to 11:00, that is the end of the Super Trofeo session. No laps can be started by a Super Trofeo car after that point in the session. And any laps started before the 11:00 mark can be finished, but then you must return to the pit lane as soon as you finish that lap. As long as the lap is valid, of course. If the lap is invalid, you'll be required to return to pit immediately. So the drivers were made aware of that. The briefing was posted on Sunday, although I do believe we've already had one car which has, unfortunately, it's a GT3 car, which has unfortunately been disqualified in its class for going out during the Super Trofeo time slot. And this is something we've seen a couple of times, Joshua, in multi-class. You and I covered the
British
the
GT.
British GT Championship, and you covered the Porsche Masters with George Smith. This is something that we've seen occasionally. If people don't read the briefing carefully and they don't pay attention to when their car should be out on track, the stewards have full right to just disqualify the car from the qualifying session, and you will be forced to start at the back of the grid. You can still start the race. That is the important thing to note. You're just not allowed to compete in qualifying if you go out during the wrong time slot. And it's one of those things, Joshua, isn't it, where you feel like people should know this by now.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that's kind of written down. It's something that we tried to make the information as kind of as visible as possible, and it still happens. But again, at the same time, maybe starting from the back, it's a new challenge in and of itself. If you're a GT3, you want to kind of fight through the Super Trofeos. I mean, it's kind of maybe a little frustrating for the Trofeo drivers who just kind of want to get on with things, but I suppose it's a unique challenge in its own way, so it's not the end of the world. And looking at the delta, Matsuka really just coming in 0.3 exactly quicker than Sunstream. There was barely anything in it before. I think it was almost 0.02 of a second, but not quite. Gleason coming through, I believe that is Cheetah coming into the final turn now in the 742 Trofeo. A little bit of a wiggle there. We've seen that a few times, so I wonder if the way these cars are set up, I wonder if...
He was up by about 0.3 of a second. That wiggle cost him all of that, and that is Joe Gleason done. And that means that the GT3s are now on track. As soon as it hit 10 minutes left of the qualifying session, they were released. This is Asbjørn Ertan, the reigning champion from the NSX Summer Cup. He will be looking to defend his championship here for the Lamborghini Super Cup. And, he's got plenty of drivers around him to compete for that championship this time around. And we'll have to see what exactly they can do. They need to space themselves out a bit here. We have about 34 GT3 cars in this championship. Not all of them here tonight. They need to make sure that they have plenty of space to prepare themselves for a qualifying lap. Speaking of preparing themselves for a qualifying lap, Nico Kuizma will be the first driver to reach the final corner and start the GT3 qualifying session. So here we go then. In the Lamborghini Quadricorsa number 7, lovely green livery, part of the Lamborghini Esports series, comes around the final corner, and we will go on board now with Nico Kuizma for a flying lap of Kyalami. Over the line we go then, down towards turn 1, the kink, we've seen it before, completely flat through there, making your way down towards turn 2 as well. Brake as late as you dare into Crowthorne. Go on the inside, just clip the curb if you have the confidence to do so, then up through the Yuxke sweep and into Barbecue, avoiding the curb on the left-hand side of the entry, and then maximising the exit as you can. Car just disappearing, returning to pits on the side. Down towards Sunset we go for Nico Kuizma. Long right-hander, you can see, shifts down to 3rd gear from 4th. You've seen the Super Trofeos carry 4th through there. Quick run down to the Clubhouse Bend. Just takes that nice and wide on the exit as well. Then into the S's we go. This is where the undulation really does begin. Cut back onto the left and then the right. Maximise the exit as you make your way up towards the hairpin Leeuwkop at the top of the circuit. Nice and wide. Cut the car in sharply and maximise your exit down the straight. Here we go through Mineshaft as we make our way down towards the Crocodiles. Nico Kuizma looking good on his lap at the moment. Just cuts him in a bit too early, I think, there, and comes in towards the Crocodiles. Nice and wide entry there, cut across the apex of the circuit, maximise the exit. And then here is Cheetah, do or die corner. Make sure you get it right. Don't clip that anti-cut curb, just about avoids it. Then brake at the 50-metre board. Tuck the car in nicely, ride the curb on the inside, maximise your exit on the track limits. And wow, Nico Kuizma really did run it to the edge of the track limits there, but it's a 141.100 dead on for Nico Kuizma to start the GT3 qualifying session.
Yeah, it seems like quite a strong time right out of the gates, but it's going to be a case of who can respond with that? Obviously, we were talking before, and we saw that Atabak Ertan was one of the favourites to take this. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of times he can pull out of the bag as well. As we see the 323 Lamborghini, good, almost a full second behind, 9/10. So quite a substantial gap going into provisional third there. Coming out of Clubhouse is the 579. So the 579, according to my timing sheet, is the 579 is, I believe, up on their time, but so the 99 coming across the line in fourth as well, provisionally, just 1.1 seconds. But that is, I believe, one of the AM class cars. So good running potentially to be leading that class.
Yeah, really feel they took out with a very, very good lap in the early stages. That's a very solid banker lap. And we talk about the banker lap sometimes, don't we? Where in a shorter session, it really does matter to get a good banker lap in because it can prepare you so well for the rest of the session. Really feel later with a seriously good lap time has the ability to just push forward now and try and find a lot more time, can afford to take some more risks because they already have a seriously good lap time on the board. Here is Nico Kumpu, and in the number 6, coming around the final corner and up towards the timing line as well. Where will Nico Kumpu improve to? Goes up to 3rd place overall, provisional pole in silver, but then is immediately beaten by one of RCI's very own, Daniel Durrett, and then John Reitzer getting in the middle there as well, in and amongst the two of them. But it's the main man of the championship that has thrown his car onto provisional pole overall for the GT3s, Atabak Ertan, into the 40s for the first time here today in qualifying. It's a 140.9 for the reigning NSX Summer Cup champion.
Yeah, very, very strong time coming in there, and just over a 1/10 of a second faster than Quizma. So, and only a 1/10 of a second between Quizma and Verona as well. So in the top 3, it's not necessarily going to be a runaway for Atabak. He's going to have to fight for it. He's going to have to earn this one.
Just seen a lot of these Super Trofeo drivers chatting amongst themselves at the moment while they're obviously waiting for the GT3 qualifying to end, and they're debating at this stage, how the tyres are going to handle, because the Super Trofeo is not very friendly on their tyres. The Lamborghini in general is not very friendly on its tyres, and it's something a lot of these drivers will have to keep in mind today. They have a 75-minute race to do. No mandatory pit stops required. It's completely down to them if they want to pit for fuel or if they want to pit for a change of tyres. It's going to be interesting to see which drivers do decide on that and how different it will be between the GT3 and the Super Trofeo cars. I think we're likely to see some of the Super Trofeo cars, particularly in the AM class, go in for a pit stop. Nico Quizma has not improved on his lap time at this stage, and Atabak Ertan is up on their lap time by about 0.2 of a second here. Comes up towards the timing line. There we go. Almost 0.3 clear of Nico Quizma. Will park the car after crossing the line and is probably done for the qualifying session, as Tobias Sontag having to avoid some traffic towards the end of the circuit. It is busy out there with almost 30 cars on the out on the field. Kyalami, it's kind of a medium-sized circuit, wouldn't you say, Joshua? I mean, it's not enormous like, we have Paul Ricard in Spa, but at the same time, it's not too small that it's very difficult to find space around here. It just seems that a lot of cars are bunched up in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially in terms of lap times. It's not like the kind of mid 1 minute 20s you might see of a fast lap around Donington, but it's also not like the 2:15s you see at Silverstone. It's kind of in the middle. It's a happy medium, I'd say, and it does mean that when the track is this, I mean, look at that track map. Look at how many cars you have out at the moment. It's inevitable that, if you have a little bit of clean air, it might not last. As you see, Kingston Lee got a little bit wide. I believe that's into Clubhouse, but yeah, it just goes to show just how easy it is to kind of unsettle the car around here. Again, coming around Cheetah, Nico Quizma making a slight mistake. He was up on his time as well, and that has all been lost.
That's it. That's the end of the session for Quizma. Can't get out on track quick enough to start another lap, so that's a shame for Nico Quizma. Probably had the pace to challenge Atabak Ertan, won't get the chance to do so. We've got John Aracer now, the Swiss, crossing the line and up into 3rd overall.
So
In the provisional pole in the silver class.
Yeah, so that's a surprise podium kind of popping into place there. We've got Koriti in the 3-2-3 crossing line. What can they do? Up into P9, so a decent chunk up from P12. So a fair amount of space is gained there. We've got this 273 coming across the line now, and that I believe will be taking pole in the AM class, going into P13. So again, for the class, very, 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 very fast time, and only just under a second off of the leader. So again, we're seeing some really quick lap times, especially for not just in general, but in the classes too. And this is the the position 44. So we've got 46 cars on track. So that's a lot. The 579 going down into the Crocodiles. They are. Let me just check the timing sheet. They are currently a fair bit up on their time, 1.7 seconds going into Cheetah, a little bit sideways, but catches it, going into the final corner, almost 2 seconds up according to my timing sheet here in the comms box. Going to cross the line. Where is that going to put them? They haven't got a time up. That is pole. That is pole by half a second.
Wow.
What a
Right at the end of the session when it comes in clutch. What a lap. Atabak Ertan is still out there, by the way. He did go back out onto the circuit. He don't think he's going to have anything to reply to that, though. Looking at his lap time at this point in time, not up on it at all. We're seeing Jordan Daly here just coming through the final corner now. It's just a bit wide on the exit of Cheetah. They'll come through the final corner. They're in the pro class as well, 13th overall. They're up by 0.2 of a second. Where will this take them? 11th overall for the 197 as their session comes to an end. We've got Dario here for the Ballas ACR team, the number 8, coming around the final corner, maximising the exit there as well. And coming up towards the timing line, a 10th up on their lap time. They were 9th. They will stay 9th as they cross the line. Here is Andrei Verona, the Ukrainian, in the 402 round the final corner. I believe that Atabak Ertan has returned to pit lane. Yes, he has. Andrei Verona crosses the line, will improve up to 4th, so puts himself on the 2nd row of the grid right towards the end of the session. And I believe the only car left out here is Carlos Calatayud, the Spaniard, coming towards the line now. What will they do? They were 14th. They will stay 14th. And there we go. An exciting end to the first qualifying session of the championship here for the Lamborghini Super Cup, and by half a second, Atabak Ertan is dethroned.
Yeah, that lap time seemed to come out of nowhere. I mean, the 579 had no time on the board to kind of report, so we had no delta to go off of. So they just came right in with that lap time, and what a lap time it is. A good note on the Super Trofeo, by the way, Ryan. Michael Redford says in the YouTube chat about the rear tires getting really hot with the ST, and it seems to be we have quite a high track temperature here. And I remember preparing for a race in the ST before, and I had the same thing. I had the same issue with the rear tires just gaining heat. So I wonder if that is going to be an issue for the drivers today as well.
Could definitely be an issue for the drivers out here today. It's going to be very, very interesting to keep track of all the developments that we have happening out on the circuit. But as we wait for the cars to line up on the grid, we will have a little walkthrough of the calendar that we'll be having for this championship. So, of course, we're starting the season out here in South Africa at Kyalami. We'll be heading over to the UK next week for Silverstone. Then we go to Spa, and, it wouldn't be a Super Trofeo Championship without visiting Spa, would it? Then we head out to Paul Ricard for round 4 on October the 11th, and we finish the season, 5-round championship. We finish the season out. Where do you think we finish the season, Joshua? I mean, there's only one place we could finish a season with a Lamborghini Cup. Where is it?
I mean, does it begin with M and end with Onza?
Definitely does. We visit Monza for round 5. and the final round of the championship. So there you go, Kyalami, Silverstone, Spa, Paul Ricard, and Monza. If you didn't know, it would, it almost sound like, a list of someone's personal favorite circuits. If you didn't know it was the calendar for this race, but it is definitely an exciting calendar for the season, and we will have plenty of action to bring you throughout the course of all of those races. But we are here on the grid. Jake Boswell, our cameraman for this evening, has done a fantastic job, is giving you a little bit of a run through of the grid here, just showing you all the liveries that we have on show here tonight. And I have to say, I say it all the time, hats off to the drivers, always very, very creative with their livery designs. And I think there's only a couple of cars out there tonight, Joshua, that I'd look at and I think, not in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. One car that's standing out to me right now is that 69 car of Andy Boardman. It's got some retro some Mazda vibes going on, like the 787B kind of coloring. And I'm digging that. That's quite nice.
So as we go down, and a good mix of custom and default liveries in there. I've seen a couple of the Grasser Lamborghini liveries and Leipa Lamborghini liveries in there as well. And there's one of the new and old Lamborghini Esports liveries. You can just see one of the old ones there on the right-hand side, the orange and black one. And here's one of the new ones, in fact, on the right-hand side as well, the lovely blue one. I do like that new one. And we have one of the nice Barwell cars that everyone should know from GT World Challenge and British GT, of course, and a couple more cars with some custom liveries as well. I'm not sure if we have anyone running any of the Triple F car liveries for this evening or for the championship in general. We'll have to see as we go, but plenty of lovely cars on the grid here tonight, and be sure to pick a favorite.
Yeah, I think the Lamborghini in this game, for the in-game custom liveries at least, it has some of the prettier designs in my opinion. And again, it's so as long as you get the colors kind of right, and a lot of these cars really have. It's a very attractive looking car. I mean, even the road version of the car, it just looks amazing, frankly. We were talking a little bit before the race started. Obviously, we gathered around over a cup of tea and a little bit of a pre-race discussion, and we were talking about Lamborghinis and the aesthetics and just how I don't know. We seem to agree, Ryan. The Huracan's a very attractive car in and of itself.
It definitely is. I think it's probably one of the staple Lamborghinis at this point. It's, very recognizable and a very attractive looking car. By the way, you can tell we've got a very large grid here tonight. Jake Boswell is still going through the grid. He's still going. We're almost at the front, believe it or not. And you can see all the cars all the way at the back of the grid there where we started. Absolutely unbelievable, the size of the field that we have here tonight. 46 cars in total. And, here we go. Here is the front row. We've got the 579 and the 14 on the front row of the grid, and the formation lap for the first race of the season is about to get underway. And Joshua, it's that time. It's the time that all commentators at RCI dread before the start of a race. We have to do it. We have to, unfortunately, curse someone here tonight. We have to pick who our race winner is going to be. So who have you got your money on here tonight?
Oh, so it's, predictions are with Ryan Gill. Okay, so I don't know. The 579, there's Abuladi coming in. That was a really, really quick time, and it came out of nowhere. So half a second ahead of Atabak Ertan, who we said in practice was the favourite to win this. And to be fair, I mean, given proven track records as far as I've been around in RCI at least, I'd have to give it to Atabak. But at the same time, if at least in the GT3 class, obviously the Super Trofeos are going to be a little bit left behind. But I don't know, my money's on the 579 after a lap like that. It's kind of hard to not bank on that. As far as the Super Trofeos go, because this is a different kettle of fish. There's a lot of big names in the Super Trofeo, as we've said. Obviously Sundstrom's very, very quick, but I think my money's going to be on Wolf. Matushka. Matushka again, very very quick. Plus, I just really like the pink livery.
So we have Joshua Devonshire in the commentary box here tonight, going for the 2 pole sitters. So those 2 options are already chosen. So I will not go for either of the pole sitters here tonight. You've got your money on the 579. I'll put my money on Atabek Ertan. I think Atabek Ertan, his race pace will be much better than his qualifying pace. That's typically what I've seen of Ertan in the championship. So I've got faith in him. As for the Super Trofeos, I mean, Wolf is a very, very good pick. But I'm going to keep it close to home, and I'm going to go for Mikhail Sundstrom. And I'm going to say that he's going to have a good chance at fighting Wolf for the win here today. Don't forget Andy Boardman, the 69 Super Trofeo, in there as well in the mix, or Alexander Guglia.
Yeah, I was about to say, Boardman very, very strong in the British GT Championship that we both commentated on in the past as well. So, again, let's not write off Boardman.
Andy Boardman's been strong in every championship I've seen him in. He hasn't come across a championship win yet, but he's always there. And that's one thing you can never overlook with a very, very quick driver.
I think it's a matter of time until he actually does win a championship. As you say, he's quick in whatever car he gets into. And to be honest, I'd say part of me is rooting for him this season, actually. I think he deserves that championship. We've seen him a few times. He's very strong. And, hopefully this will be his time.
Well, here we go. The car's starting to line up 2 by 2. By the way, look how far back the end of the Super Trofeo class is, by the way. Where the leader for the formation lap just coming into Cheetah now. They're coming through the crocodiles. And hopefully this should give them a bit of breathing room, though, if they are going to be slightly a bit further back. They are bunching up now, but if the Super Trofeos are a bit further back from the GT3s, it's not the worst thing in the world, because it means if there is an accident down towards turn 2, then there is a chance that they could avoid it. Here we go then. This is it. The start of the Lamborghini Super Cup. 46 cars on the grid here tonight. We have the 579 and the 14 on pole. Here we go. 75 minutes of racing set to get underway. GT3s and STs on the track. We are green for the season as we go straight through turn 1. It is a very, very good start by Abdeladze, but Atabek Ertan on the outside, looking interested to see if he can try and take him. Not able to do so at the very start on the outside, and it will be the 579 that chucks into the lead comfortably at the start. Atabek Ertan will settle in behind with Kuizma in third. Looking back through the field, it looks like all the cars have got through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 relatively safely. I think we've got a couple of cars off. But I have to say, Joshua, with such an enormous field, that's not too bad of a start.
No, I'd say that's about as clean as you can hope. Honestly, I'm quite surprised. During all that, I was, again, following the front. I was following Matushka at the back of the start of the ST field. And yeah, no, it seems incredibly fair and even. We've got any position changes? No, we've got Sundstrom following Matushka. Going back to the front of the field, the 579, again, maybe pulling ahead of Ertan, who in turn, at least for the time being, pulling ahead of Kuizma, but there's still an hour and 30. We haven't even completed a single lap yet, so it's too difficult to tell, to make any real predictions at this point in time, especially when traffic comes into play later on. The number 8 getting very, very close to the car ahead, the 323. Defending against the car behind, that will be the 300 car, defending against the silver car. So again, the 323 Pro car in a little bit of a field of silver, obviously trying to catch up to the rest of their class. I believe that is also last place of the pros in the GT3s. Going on with the 54 coming out of the final corner under pressure from the 777 Super Trofeo, who Super Trofeo has gotten ahead of Matushka apparently. So has Otti in the 696. I wonder if something's happened to Matushka and Sundstrom.
I was just about to say, Andy Boardman has had a very, very good start, hasn't he? And that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on. Dolber's also made a good start as well in the 777. Can't overlook that. We might be able to get a replay of the start of the race a bit later on for you. We'll continue with the live pictures for now as we continue to see GT3s going side by side through a couple of corners. Remember, we do have live stewarding for tonight, so the stewards are in the box. We can actually see them just down here from where we're sat, Joshua, in our commentary box. So just down to the left there. And they will be overseeing all the incidents out here on track today. And you know what? They were hoping for a clean start here today, and I think, you know, like you said, it's as clean as they could have hoped for here today. They were probably dreading it with 46 cars out here on track, but it has been a very good start, and I think the stewards will be quite happy with that. In the meantime, we will refocus our efforts on the task at hand. We have Quarati here in 323 at this moment in time. He's in the pro class for the GT3 cars, and he's stuck in a sandwich of silver cars at this moment in time, and needs to try and find his way through a couple. Currently chasing down Matthew Kingston Lee in the 555. He's just gone slightly wide at the final.
Yeah, that's not going to help lap times at all, and it will make his job a little bit easier. Wolf Matushka onto the back of the 696 of Otti. Obviously, Matushka was our pole sitter, very, very, very quick driver indeed. And I imagine it's only a matter of time until a move is made, but Sundstrom is also putting the pressure on, going down through the kink, going down into turn 2. Otti going slightly defensive, Matushka looking on the inside, not quite able to make anything happen of it. A little bit frustrating, but can they get the switch back? I don't think that's going to be the case going down as we run into Barbecue. But again, very long run into Sunset, and where Sunset isn't a typical overtaking opportunity, it can be done if you get the exit of Barbecue correct, which I don't think Matushka's done enough to really do that, but Otti will go slightly defensive. So maybe he was a bit closer than the camera lets on.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and well, we talked about Andy Boardman not really having a championship under his name yet. Could this be a fantastic chance for him to lead the Super Trofeo class at the end of round 1? He's got 3 GT3s between him and then Joe Dorber, who is second in the Super Trofeos.
I thought it actually looks like Bobbin was actually making a move on a GT3 there, so Bobbin punching well above the car's weight at this point in time, obviously mixing in with the AM of the GT3s. He's dropped down a few positions according to the timing sheet just there on the left hand side. I'm looking at the same timing sheet as everybody else on you guys watching. But again, there's only one GT3 separating himself from the rest of the Super Trofeo.
Oh,
bit of a cluster back
there. We
there.
had 3 ST wide for a moment. Joe Dorber just got slightly out of shape, and Tom Otti managed to squeeze through. Wolf Matushka didn't manage to squeeze through, and that's now hurt him slightly. And I think this is a bit of an unexpected situation for Wolf Matushka. I think he expected to have a decent start, get through turns 1, 2 cleanly, and be on his way. It has not gone that way at all. He's going to be on the inside, I think, coming down towards the second corner. I'm not sure if we'll be able to catch that. He's on the inside. Yes, here he is. And he's going to get that move done nicely there on Joe Dorber. So there you go. Wolf Matushka up into 3rd for the Super Trofeo class. But still a lot of work left to be done. He's got to catch Tom Otti, who is 6/10 up the road. And then he's got to try and find Andy Boardman, who is a good 2.6 seconds up the road from Tom Otti at this stage in the race. Andy Boardman having a fantastic start so far in the Super Trofeo class. Let's hope he can keep it up.
That's it. We are still in the early stages of this race. 1 hour, 8 minutes to go. And Wolf Matushka is not messing around. He knows that he can't. I mean, we were talking just about how quick Boardman actually is. And obviously, Wolf knows that going down into Mineshafts. That's the 2 of the GT3s, the 404 and the 30 going side by side, going down into Crocodiles. Looks like the 404 will retain the position, but maybe not. Loses it a little bit on the exit. Bit of oversteer. Goes into the infield and avoids narrowly taking out, I believe that was Kingston Lee. So that could have been a lot messier than it should have been. Is this a replay? This is a replay coming up.
I am amazed that Daniel Durrett held this.
Yeah,
I am absolutely amazed that he did not lose this car and spin around. That is very well done. It doesn't look that bad from the outside, but I can tell you from the inside, that is terrifying.
That's a change of Nomex right there, I think, Ryan. And I'm just surprised that Kingston Lee didn't find himself caught in that tussle as well. That was quite a significant
Whoa, we
slide.
got
And
another GT3. I think that was Karate actually just getting a bit out of shape as well there. I think a few of these guys just struggling to get to grips with the conditions at this moment.
yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, the conditions, the temperatures seem very similar
They
as
don't
to.
look that bad. I mean, ambient is
Yeah,
21, which is almost perfect for
Gleason with a spin.
for good lapping. Oh, Joe Gleason, one of the RCI stewards, competing in this championship here tonight, facing backwards, doing the right thing though, keeping the car stationary.
Oh no!
Not the ideal way to back the car up, but keeping the car stationary so that you are predictable. People know where the car is, they know which way to avoid it, and then obviously moving the car and coming back on the track in the right direction when it is safe to do so. Meanwhile, in the GT3 class, out in front, look at this masterclass so far. 3 seconds up the road is the pole sitter, and Abeladze, well, just absolutely perfect so far. Did exactly what they needed to do into turn 2, and has just started to pull a gap. Meanwhile, the silver leader for the GT3 class, it's Mr. John Aracer, the Swiss, and not doing too bad indeed. In fact, has 2 pro cars between himself and then second in the silver class, so has definitely managed to gain some places there. And then it's Alex Hutchinson in the lead for the AM class as well. But they have just let a couple of cars through, and now they've got the second place car in AM right behind them. So this is about to get very, very interesting.
Oh, absolutely right. Looking at the YouTube chat, Wolf Motorsport is saying rear tires getting a bit toasty already for some of the cars, and again, I mean, maybe that is the case. We are a few laps in now, and maybe as some of
Definitely for
Gleason
the
saying in the chat. Gleason was saying that the rear tires were a little bit of a handful, so I think we might be starting to see that come into play a little bit as we see the 777 of Dauber coming into turn 2, looking to have the inside, but not quite close enough to make a move on the 79. Pro class in the Super Trofeo. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the Super Trofeo and the GT3 from the outside, from these camera shots, but obviously if you look at the timing sheet, the Super Trofeos are denoted by the little yellow triangle in the bottom corner of the number, in case you guys were wondering what that actually meant. 740 of Kaneko at the moment, the Japanese driver, holding off the 30, it's an AM driver. I was just about to say holding off the 30 of Duret, but Duret coming right in at the hairpin down into mineshaft, and I don't think there's going to be a response to that.
No, that looked like a solid move from Daniel Duret, the Canadian, firmly through as well, and Duret recovering from a little bit of a spin that they experienced. Something I did see when you were talking about the Super Trofeo cars and explaining how you can tell that little triangle in the bottom corner of the timing board, I noticed something a bit peculiar about one of the Super Trofeo cars, and it's Alexander Guglia's car. There's some damage on the front of that car. Early on in the race, you can just see that the bonnet isn't sitting flush with the rest of the car, and that is a good indication of front-end damage on that car. So Alexander Guglia has gone into the back of someone at some point early on in this race, and that's not going to help his efforts, because now he's got to carry that damage for the next 64 minutes. And, oh, here we have, this is a replay of the start, and is this going to tell a little bit of the story? Oh, just a bit clustered all up in the mid-pack there, and I think Alexander Guglia maybe just gone into the back of someone slightly. Mikhail Sundström there, his teammate, though, working on chasing down Wolf Matuszka. But, yeah, a bit problematic for Guglia at this stage in time. It's not the ideal scenario.
I was going to say, Ren, I thought it was just a typical Lamborghini panel gap, but no, I think you're entirely right. Looking at the 323 car, again, in the GT3, holding off the 223. The 223 having the inside going down into the mineshaft, and not quite the legs to get a move done, put into the slipstream again, but that going offline puts them vulnerable to the car behind. That's the 300 of Kalata Yud. Side by side into Crocodiles, very, very wide. There's contact, a bit of a door bang with the 300 car, but again, not taking out the car. But I would imagine, I'm not sure if the stewards will be taking a look at that because nobody was taken out. But that was a very lucky contact for that. It could have been a lot worse than it was, coming across the line side by side to start another lap, but going on the run down into the kink. which in turn into T2. The 223 car, Sontag, will have the inside line under braking. Will they hold on to the position, or will the 300 get the cutback? The 300 pulls ahead just a little bit, not quite. Door touching again,
Oh,
pushing the 300 wide. 300 has the inside and will make the move stick, but 223 will give it another go. But I think giving it another go will leave them vulnerable to the 358 Amcar of Hutchinson. But again, not
all
I think
kicking
Cars
off.
just a little bit. Elbows out already, and there's still an hour to go.
Yeah, the stewards will definitely take a look at that. They do catch, I would say, 99% of incidents. And the 1% that they don't catch, drivers are allowed to report post-race. So the stewards do a fantastic job, and I'm sure that they're already having a look through whatever happened on the first lap. We'll read out any penalties as we get them through. But in the meantime, we will continue watching on, and we have Bazagi here in the number 8, chasing down Nico Kumpu in the number 6. Just trying to get through at the moment, and they'll be focusing their efforts on Jordan Daly, who's up in 5th overall, the 197, who had come in the chat a bit earlier and said they didn't have a great qualifying session, and they weren't, they weren't too happy with it. Well, 4th in the pro class at this stage in the race, not a bad start.
No, not a bad place to be at all, especially considering the strength of the field at the moment. Looking down in the chat as well, apparently Jay Daly was actually in map 2 for qualifying, so that might be an explanation as to why the pace might not be entirely where they were wanting it to be. However, an hour to make up for time, the 273 defending against the 89 for second place in the Anfield. I believe the 279 has just gotten by into turn 2. There's a cutback, not really an option for Poshhoisen. And I believe they're going to have to settle and make that move stick and have to rethink their approach going into further laps to try and make up that time. Looking at the timing sheet, is that the 931 car, Di Ricciardo, with a drive-through penalty. I'm not entirely certain why that is for. We do get
that is
Stewart.
That is Stewart given. I've just had Stephen DeVos to pop a paper through the little gap under the door, and I can read out what it says here. So it says incident lap 1, turn 1, involving cars 88, 96, and 99. There is no further action on that incident, apparently. So that is not the Daniel Ricciardo penalty, but I believe I'm about to get the other one, which is about the drive through the door any moment. They're probably just writing that one up as we speak, but that was a steward or race control given penalty. I did see that pop up at the bottom on my end on the little dash we have here, so expecting an explanation for why that drive-through has been handed out any moment now, but we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, it's the write-ups take a little bit of time here at RCI. We don't have a lot of money for working pens, so we have to make do with what we've got. Get the ink flowing a little bit before the pens start to work. So
having a little look at the replay at the start, we're looking at the perspective of Vlad Will there, and there was just a few little nudges in there. I don't think there were any major pieces of contact. I think it was just a couple of cars bunching up at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it is quite difficult to kind of avoid those situations. So we'll see what comes out of the contacts on lap 1, but it has been very well behaved so far from a lot of the drivers. Haven't really seen any extreme cases of incidents. We've got a car going around.
Oh.
Who was that? Was that Verona in the 402? I think it might have been... It was Verona in the 402, I believe it was, yeah. The Ukrainian. We're going to have a replay. Oh, no, it wasn't. No, it's the number 6. Sorry, that was Nico Kumpu, wasn't it?
I believe it. Yeah, you're right. That is Kumpu. Looks like they just lost it themselves on the curbs, and the curbs through the S's are fairly high. There's a fairly harsh curb, and especially in the Lamborghini, it's not very curb compliant. So if you do hit that too hard, or if you run off a little bit onto the grass, then you will lose grip and unsettle the car, and it's so easily done. So at the end of the day, it's still an hour to make up for the time.
This doesn't usually work.
going through Cheetah. It's not really an overtaking opportunity, but the car's getting through, not making contact. But again, things going from bad to worse for Kumpu.
Massive respect there. I've seen esports drivers go side by side into Cheetah and not make that work. That was very, very impressive there from Kyalami and Nico Kumpu. They made it fit somehow through Cheetah side by side, and a very good effort from them. Tom Otti, in the meantime, is trying to come back at, is that Joe Dorber? He's trying to catch back up with. He's dropped down through the Super Trofeo field a bit. And as I'm actually speaking, I have just had the report come through for the drive-through penalty for the 931. So lap 1, turn 11, involving cars 77, 931, and 898. So that does involve Alexander Guglia. And it says drive-through for car 931. 931 brakes very late, causes the 77 to spin out and causes contact with 2 other cars. Drivers lost multiple places, no positions returned.
I wonder as well if that was the incident with, well, the reason why we saw Matushka and Sundstrom fall back. That actually doesn't make
sounds like it.
So that explains why Boardman had such a rapid start. But again, positions gained is positions gained, and for Boardman, that is all that will matter. Currently, a second and a half ahead of Matushka still, according to the timesheet on the left-hand side here. But it does seem like Matushka is eating into that a little bit. Guglia in the 898 going through Sunset. And again, you see that front-end damage, and that will be costing them a little bit. The Amcar, the 983, so the 963, sorry, taking a little bit of an opportunistic look there, but not able to make anything stick.
Oh, just as you said it, Andy Boardman, 15-second time penalty for the number 69. That has just been forwarded my way. I will check when I can to see exactly what that is for. But Andy Boardman has just been given a 15-second time penalty by race control. So I do wonder, Josh, if that means that lead is part of some of his own doing, in a sense, through Andy Boardman. We'll have to see what the stewards say. Stephen DeVust has just popped the letter through here. Number 69, involved with car 963 and 27. It says 15-second penalty for the 69. Brakes too late, causes contact with multiple cars. Penalty is increased for lap 1 incident. So that would have been a 5-second penalty for Andy Boardman. But because it was lap 1 and they treat lap 1 more harshly, that's a 15-second penalty. And of course that applies to the drive-through we saw for Ricciardo earlier as well. That would have been a 30-second penalty, I'm pretty sure.
You're correct in that, yeah.
Or it would have been a 15-second penalty, not 30 seconds. It would have been a 15-second penalty, but because it was lap 1, it was up to a drive-through. We've also had a 15-second penalty come the way of Thomas Baranowski as well in the Super Trofeo class. So he's unfortunately been found responsible for something as well. It says lap 1, turn 16, cars 35 and 63. 15-second penalty for the 35. The 35 hits the 63, causes a spin. Penalty increased for lap 1. However, the position was returned. So the penalty was then, the severeness of the penalty was then reduced. So 15 seconds for Baranowski, caused an incident, gained an advantage, but then gave the place back as they rightly should. And, well, they've got off a bit easy with that penalty.
Yeah, at the start, Ryan, whilst we're making the predictions, you were saying, who do we curse?
Oh dear.
You were saying, who do we curse? I think that Boardman and Matushka, we have sufficiently cursed quite.
Well, I've cursed Mikhail Sundstrom now because Mikhail Sundstrom's got a drive-through penalty for race control as well. So I think we've collectively just done it now. Also, the number 13 has got a penalty at this point in the race as well. So if that wasn't an unlucky number already, it just has become one for Nicholas Smith. If you're wondering why we've got so many penalties coming out in such a short space of time, I imagine they've done all the lap 1 penalties in one go and are now just handing them all out in one go. So for Mikhail Sundstrom's, we actually have, where is it? So drive-through penalty. Actually, that's his car. Oh, that's Michael Jakobsen, sorry, that I'm reading this one for. So Michael Yakuzum, car 790, drive-through penalty for this car, takes out car 21, and who then spins into the 27. Penalty is increased for lap 1. Car 899, which is Mikael Sundström, hits car 790, the one that just got a penalty, on the exit of turn 5, takes them out, and that's by return also takes out the 963. Penalty increase for lap 1. The 13 hits the number 70, spins them around, causes multiple positions to be lost. Penalty is increased for lap 1. Okay, that should be all of the lap 1 incidents. I didn't think it was that scruffy, but I've been proven wrong. So quite a few penalties coming out early on. What I will hope for the steward's sake is that it hasn't looked that bad from what we've seen so far on the stream.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it goes to show anything, as I say, I was keeping half an eye on the front of the field. I was keeping half an eye on the middle of the pack with Matushka, and it looked fairly clean from what I could see. But I think what it proves is that I am blind. So I
also had a 15-second penalty come out for the 26. That's Chris Humphreys. They just had the 26 15-second penalty for being late on the brakes. Takes out 77. Does not give back the position. So there you go. We're up to date on all the penalties. That should be all the lap 1 penalties. That was actually a lap 3 penalty, that Chris Humphreys one. So they have got through all the lap 1 penalties, and it should get better from here. At least it has looked better from here from our perspective.
Yeah.
But then again, what do we know?
Yeah, we've dropped the ball a little bit here, right? I think. An update on the order is something that I can give you guys. Daly making up from 5th into 4th, and Eraser doing very, very well, moving into 5th position of the lead silver car in the GT3s, the Swiss driver, making his way down into T2 at the moment, closely chased by the Pro number 8. Obviously, the Pro class, by logic, theoretically the quicker driver in that car, but Eraser holding them off very well indeed. Obviously, Daly, again, putting the pressure onto Daly. Daly seems to go a little bit wide, but I am seeing blue flags, and that wasn't Daly, and that was, I don't think so. That was a Trofeo, but that Trofeo looks like it also has damage too. I'm not too sure who that actually is. That's Joe. That is Joe Gleason. We saw Gleason spin earlier on.
Yeah, we saw Joe Gleason pointing the wrong direction. The Where Be Me Potato cars not doing too well here today, the 742, and yeah, that is a serious amount of damage on Joe Gleason's car, and he will have to come to pit lane and get that repaired.
Yeah, there's only one word for that amount of damage, and that word is significant.
Could you also use the term crunched? That car has been crunched in some sense of the word. Mikael Sundström has just served his drive-through penalty, by the way, and that has meant that he has dropped back through the Super Trofeo field now. Meanwhile, having a look out through the rest, where are the leaders at this stage in the race in terms of the Super Trofeo cars? So the leaders are working their way through. At this point in the race, they've already got through a few of the. They've got through most of the AM Super Trofeos already. They're making their way through the pros at this stage in the race, so it's taken them, give or take, about 25 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's an hour and 15-minute race. Yeah, about 25 minutes sounds about right. It's very difficult at this point in time to actually keep track of everything. We are solely relying on memorizing liveries and race numbers because the cars do look so similar from the outside. Here we have Wolf Matushka really caught up to the back of Andy Baldwin in the 69. And don't forget, Andy Baldwin does have that 15-second time penalty as we make our way through Cheetah. But I think even without the penalty, I dare say Matushka might even have him on racecraft alone.
He might, but it's going to be interesting. Does Wolf Matushka push, and possibly ruin his tyres, which could affect him towards the end of the race? Or does he play it safe, go for tyre conservation, and know that he doesn't need to pass Boardman to win the race? He just needs to sit within 15 seconds.
I mean, that would make sense. And again, what's Boardman's strategy? Do you go for the 15 seconds added at the end and try to make it through a full stint, if that is even possible? Or do you take the stop, take the 15-second penalty at the stop, get fresh tyres, and underfuel the car and just try to do quality laps to the end for the final sprint of the race.
I think if I'm Andy Boardman, I'm kind of I'm kind of in the situation of I have clean air, so I know that my tires are going to be fine. So I would kind of just stay easy on the tires, take the 15-second time penalty at the end of the race, and just hope that Wolf Matuszka goes for a one-stop strategy, or he punishes his tires enough following Andy Boardman for the entire race. I mean, remember, Wolf Matuszka has had to claw his way through traffic already, so he's had to push those tires quite a fair amount at this stage to catch up to Andy Boardman, and doesn't look like he's pushing the most at this stage. He is catching right back up to the back of Andy Boardman in the slipstream there. These cars slipstream each other very, very well. But Wolf Matuszka not quite able to find a way through at this stage in the race. And, well, Wolf Matuszka, he will have to continue onwards. But I do kind of feel the same thing that you do, that it might just be a matter of time from Wolf Matuszka. And if he does get past Andy Boardman, I think that is race over, essentially, for Andy Boardman in terms of getting a win, unless Wolf Matuszka runs into a disaster earlier on.
Speaking of running into a disaster, Matuszka has the inside line going into T2, and we have seen moves be made before. Boardman running a little bit wide, a little bit of a snap there. Looks like he wanted to take the inside, but then realized Matuszka was there and has to take avoiding action, and narrowly avoids contact one way or another, either with Matuszka or with the wall on the outside. And that is going to allow Matuszka to take the lead of the Super Trofeo class, which, as you were just saying a moment ago, Ryan, that's not what Boardman was wanting, but Matuszka dipping two wheels onto the grass there. But obviously in control the whole time, but again, it goes to show with 45 minutes to go, anything can still happen. Matuszka could still make a mistake, and it's not all about pace, it's all about consistency in racecraft too.
Yeah, it's going to count a lot coming back towards the end. Ertan at the moment, though, in the GT3 class is about 7.8 seconds off of Abdeladze's lead at this stage. So Ertan just going backwards and backwards at this stage. Kuizmo is another 10.9 seconds off of Ertan. So the pros have really stretched themselves out at this point in the race, and it doesn't look like there's going to be too much of a race between them for the overall win. Further back, though, there is plenty of action going on, and speaking of, it's Nico Kumpu chasing down Matthew Kingston-Lee, and you can just see the 555 and the 6 there navigating their way through some Super Trofeo traffic. That is Joe Gleason after repairing his car, and then Quarati also here just trying to find a way through as well. And these Super Trofeos aren't easy to get past. They're slower than GT3s on the straights, but through the corners, they match their speed, so it's not really like you can just hang it around the outside like you do on a GT4 car and just find your way through on raw pace.
Yeah, as we were saying earlier, the Trofeos are fairly unique, and the Trofeos are fairly unique in how they actually drive and handle, and it really goes to show kind of when you actually do look at the cars side by side in these situations. And as you were saying, the Super Trofeos through the corners, they still have the big wings. They don't have quite as much aero, but they still have the big wings. They still have a fair bit, a lot more than the GT4, and they can carry some pace, as we see a Razor. And I think that is a lapped car, but going under pressure from that's the number 8, Bazagi, getting through in turn 2, but going wide as well, will rejoin ahead of. But Razor will lose that position to the pro class driver in the same car. Obviously, it's still leading leading the silver race. So it's kind of no harm, no foul.
Won't be too fast.
Technically not in the same race, but again, try saying that to any of the drivers when you're there with track position. You're on pace with the cars ahead, no matter what class you're in. You want to be ahead, really, don't you?
Yeah, I mean it's. As Jesse Lee often says, racing drivers will be racing drivers, and it's hard to talk them out of racing against people that aren't in their class. They just see a car ahead of them and they're like, I want to be passed. And we've had an accident down towards Cheetah. We've got two cars down there. I think that's the 963 is stranded at this moment in time. Jake Boswell's got the replay. Oh, is this 2 into 1? Oh no, the 23 clips the curb on Cheetah, comes
Oh
back on the
no!
track.
Oh no! And that's 3 cars collected with that. That was, I believe, we made a note of it earlier on.
Ertan was in that mix.
No, that was.
Atabek Ertan was in that mix. I don't know if he got caught up in it or how much he got caught. His car looks fine. So I think he might have just got away with it. He might have just avoided it, but his car was definitely in and amongst the pack there. And wow.
Very
Talk about intimidating.
Talk about a change of Nomax, but again, it does prove, if you ever needed it, just how dangerous Cheetah can be. That inside anti-cut curb, it's fairly lethal. It's to these cars. I mean, I don't think any car in the game really, maybe aside from the GT4s, can really kind of mount it and take it aggressively. But the Lamborghinis, especially, they are quite badly affected by it. And you have to be careful, as even the apex of Cheetah is slightly undulated. It's very easy to lift a corner of the car at speed, and it's a fairly fast corner as well. It's quicker than it seems, with a Razor with a little bit of a wiggle coming out of Clubhouse there. That will cost them a small amount of time, but it seems to be it's not Bizarre. That is a lapped car, I believe. Bizarre was in the purple car up ahead, and that will mean, I believe, is that Verona getting through, turning into... Yeah, it's a bit of a cluster going down into the hairpin.
That's the 23 again. It's the car we saw go off at Cheetah. Another 23. Who is in the 23 car by name? Hutchins. Down in 43rd at the moment overall.
Seems to be
Richard Hutchins, unfortunately, kind of involved in that incident. Stewart's got a bit more work to do yet.
No, we have to have massive praise for the stewards for very efficiently getting through and spotting all of the things that we missed. And yeah, from our eyes, it just looked like...
They don't get to watch the races often. You can understand why.
They'd have to catch up on the stream afterwards. But yeah, it looked like Hutchin. It looked like the 23 did just kind of hit the brakes a little bit and caught the drivers behind out. Speaking of, we've got Kingston Lee, sorry, in a very similarly coloured car coming into turn 2, and Kingston Lee making a move. Trying to line up a move, I believe, on Kumpu, just upline in the number 6 car, which we saw go round earlier. So, I'm sure we saw Kumpu at one point in P14, recovered up to P9, so back in the top 10. And with a lot more work to go, they seem to have the pace to catch the 404 car just up ahead. And you can see that just in frame coming into, I believe this is Clubhouse? No, yeah, this is Clubhouse going into the S's. So the camera's looking down the track the wrong way, makes it a little bit more interesting to sometimes to figure out where we are. But no, we are going through the S's now, and Kingston Lee chasing down Karate to catch up to potentially a podium in the silver class for the GT3s.
Yep, wouldn't be a bad start to the season at all. We've got Karate in the middle of them at this stage, and that won't be too convenient for them right now. Here's Rudy Filmater, who is South African and, of course, on home turf for this round. There'll be quite a few drivers on home turf across the course of this season. And he's in the Indigo Lime Evo Lamborghini GT3, the number 99. And I believe Rudy Filmater's been in a couple of championships already. They were in the rookie class last season for the NSX Summer Cup, and they managed to do quite well in the rookie class, so they've been bumped up to AM for this season, and not doing too bad indeed, sitting second at the moment. Quite the gap it looks like they have between themselves and first in the AM class, which is Alex Hutchinson. But at this stage, not doing too bad. That is Atabek Ertan out of the pit lane. That is a 1 minute 6 second stop.
Oh no!
That's Puglisi and Daniel Durrett.
Looks like I need to see that again, but
that's That's a bit awkward. That's two RCI stewards coming together there. That's a bit awkward.
There'll be talks after the race, no doubt.
There will be talks after the race, I'm sure. But Atterberg Ertan, sorry, to get back on point, 1 minute 6 second pit stop on lap 20. As we do get a little bit of a replay here. Stenio direct on the inside and Joe Gleason just tags him. And Atterberg Ertan as well.
Also, it's also worth noting, Ryan. I'm sorry for interrupting. Also worth noting that Abeladze in the
leader is in as well.
Is in the pit, so this is a very crucial lap for Atterberg Ertan. To try and make up as much time as possible.
We've got drivers coming in for. These aren't tyre stops. Actually, no, I take that back. Abeladze's is a fuel stop. I think Atterberg Ertan's taken tyres.
That would make sense. And going for a potential undercut, I mean, that happening on the lap, on your out lap coming out of the pits, it's not what you want. I don't know how much damage.
Atterberg Ertan's pit stop was 20 seconds longer than Abeladze's, and to me, that screams. Yeah, that screams tyres to me. 20 seconds longer. So it would seem like there's very different strategies between the two at the front. Nico Guizma has inherited the race lead, by the way, and Jordan Daly has inherited second. We don't know what their strategy is for the race, but well, I mean, no stop. Anyone?
I mean,
someone gonna try it. Someone has to try it. Surely, there's always one person.
I mean, if you fill the car to the brim and hope the tyres hold, then you play with the engine maps. Then absolutely maybe. Looking at the chat earlier on, 8:41 p.m. Obviously, that's our local time. I'm not sure what time that would be in game, but Ash Bibi saying potential, hopefully a podium for Daly, and Daly currently running in P2. So. With what's happened to Ertan, and given how badly, we don't know how badly that car is damaged, or if that will cause an effect later on, potentially Daly was running in P4, so with a potential demise, and that's not going to help Ertan at all, with Force Warriors in the 273 making a little bit of an opportunistic move there. And what reason? They are fighting in the same car 4-track position, Pro versus Am. I do wonder, is Ertan falling? Ertan won't be falling down the field. I don't think it was that significant of a hit, but it might be significant enough to inherit Daly the podium.
Well, we'll have to see how all of this plans out, but as it stands, Nico Kuzma has inherited the lead of the race. You can just see the 77 of Rob Quantrill on the inside there of Andy Boardman, just making his way through GT3, getting past Super Trofeo. And nicely done indeed, and I think that is Hutchinson in behind that wants to follow through, but Andy Boardman's not just going to jump out of the way. He wants to run his own race as well, and he's going to say, well, look, you're the faster class, you have to get round safely.
That's it. I mean, it is for track position, and Boardman is entitled. Oh, squeezed on the outside just a little bit there. I mean, I believe that was the 77 of, what is that, Quantrill? Not really, no, that was Hutchinson, sorry, having absolutely none of that. And I guess rightly so. I mean, if the gap is there and you need to get round, you need to get round. And at the end of the day, chasing down Quantrill, just about missing going into turn 2. Quantrill also with the 15-second penalty, so it looks like also carrying damage. So kind of a good thing Hutchinson has got through for their race at the very least. And on the hunt now to catch up to Machuska.
Might have a hard time doing that. Catching Wolf Matushka is not an easy task, even when he's in a car that is slower than yours. But we'll see what Alex Hutchinson can do. We'll keep an eye on the strategy for any of the other cars going around. We had Ivan Zesic, at least I assume it's Zesic, in the chat asking, is there any mandatory pit stops? No, there isn't. Drivers are free to use whatever strategy they like. They can take fuel, they can take tyres, or they can just not pit at all. It's completely up to them. And Tom Bryant has confirmed Atabek Ertan did change tyres. So that confirms our theory then that Abelardse didn't take tyres, he only took fuel, and Ertan did take tyres. So I think anyone who has a stop around the 1 minute 5 second mark will be somebody who's taken tyres. And by the way, if you want to keep an eye with what's going on with the pit stops and the timings and all that's going on in the race, exclamation mark timings in the chat will get you the link to our live timings for this race, and you can have a look at all the pit stop times for all of the cars out here today, as we just seen another car come into the pit lane. But we're back watching Atabek Ertan in the 14th, trying to recover from what was a very scary exit from the pit lane. And he's working his way through. He's got Rudy Filmater in the AM class just ahead of him right now, and I think he will probably dispatch of the 99 fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Ertan showing absolutely amazing racecraft throughout most of, well, I'd say hasn't really had a chance to demonstrate it throughout most of the race, but in previous races, we know what he is capable of, and as you say, Ryan, I think it's only a matter of time until Ertan makes their way back up through the field. But again, is there the chances of catching to where the top three again? Ertan's got his work cut out for him, absolutely, to no end. Looking on the back splitter of the 99, you see Ertan just putting on the pressure, squeezing on the outside a little bit, going up to the inside, a little bit of a not going into barbecue. Very tiny bit of contact. Very lucky that. Yeah, very door to door on the edge, as close as you would really want it, but has made the move stick going into Sunset and now chasing down the 223 of Sontag.
I think it's one of those moves. It sits on the line of hard but fair, and that was very nicely done from Atabek Ertan, the reigning NSX Summer Cup champion, and that's going to be a phrase that I'm sure he'll like hearing until the end of this championship, although it's going to have a good challenge for this championship. Here is our current race leader, provisionally at least, with just over 30 minutes to go. It is Nico Guizma in the number 7, and I have to say, Joshua, we talked about liveries earlier. This livery for the new Lamborghini Esports series, this is probably one of my favorite liveries for the Lamborghini. It looks so good, and there's so many different color combinations for it as well, but I think the lime green looks very nice.
I agree. However, I like the blue. The blue looks really sweet. But then again,
I think my team's running the orange one for EWC, which is a very nice one as well, like lava orange kind of look to it.
Yeah, it's a very attractive livery, but I think anyone who knows me knows I'll always go for the blue, but I don't think there's a livery that any color combination it would really look too bad in. In fact, if anything, it's reminded me a lot of the 2005 Ford Focus WRC kind of vibes going on there with the I believe it's the BP livery back in the time with the second gen Focus. If anyone remembers that, a little bit of a throwback to the past, and we're talking. I mentioned Boardman's livery earlier on, and you see it in the background there as Guizma is catching to lap the 69 Super Trofeo. So there's a lot of master vibes going on there.
I was just associated with a Christmas livery, like Andy Boardman's. He's excited, he's getting the Christmas liveries in early. But Jordan Daly in the Go for Gap RC powered by Triple R car with the black, purple, and blue on his car. I do like this. I think that's quite nice. And we flip back over now to Masatoshi Kaneko, who is. I think they've just been passed, have they, by Latinan at this stage? Yes, they have. The 404s just got past them, although they're in a different class, so they won't be too worried about all of that at this stage. They're just focusing on the fact that they are 3rd place at the moment in class and trying to keep the fin of happening behind. And then up in the silver class, it is John Aracer in the 699, the Swiss driver, doing very well at this stage in the race, keeping the lead of the silver class as they did in the first lap. and looking very, very good out there as well. And Rudy Filmmaker still leads in the AM class.
Yeah, Ray's doing a very, very good job keeping ahead of the rest of their field as well. Looking at things, I saw that was a 7.7-second gap, so a healthy gap, but again, will not want to make a mistake because that will mean that they will lose that position. So consistency for them at this point in time is key. Bodman still with the 15-second time penalty. Trying to see, are they still in the lead of the Trofeos? It looks like they are.
Because Wolf Matuszka's pitted. Wolf Matuszka has taken tyres, by the way. So that's maybe not a surprise from Wolf Matuszka because he was the one who was talking about tyres being an option.
Yeah, and I think something you were saying earlier on.
The question I have for you, Joshua, right? This is very, very, very important question. Can Wolf Matuszka claw back that gap to Andy Boardman in 27 minutes?
Matuszka is going to have to push. Sorry, right, you go first.
No, I was just about to say, keeping in mind Andy Boardman's going through barbecue now as Wolf Matuszka goes through the crocodiles. There's about half a lap between them. Ooh. He's got to claw back enough to be within 15 seconds of Boardman if Boardman doesn't pit and tries to go to the end of the race.
Oh, let's take a look at the timings at the moment on my end. What is the gap? I mean, I'm seeing Boardman, I'm seeing Matuszka, and Matuszka's so far behind, it just says +1 lap, so...
It's over a sector, so...
Yeah, it's huge. The gap is monumental. I don't know. I think if Boardman can keep the car out and keep some kind of consistent pace.
For perspective, by the way, Andy Boardman's doing 46.1s, Wolf Matuszka 45.3. So Matuszka is about 0.8 of a lap quicker, 0.8 of a second per lap quicker. But is he going to gain back enough time in 25.5 minutes to get within that 15-second range? It's a
tall order.
It's gonna. Where's Jesse Lee when you need him? Where is the man with his calculator when you need him?
Well, either in the chat, I'd say call Jesse for his quick maths. I mean, we've just said that, so. Yeah, no, I'm sure some of you maths guys out there in the chat, you guys can crunch the numbers, but I think in the comms box, I don't think I want to do the maths. I kind of just want to see how this unfolds for myself, and
no AWS insights here, folks. We go off the numbers we see on the timing board and figure it out as we go. But as you can see, Jordan Daly just under a bit of pressure here, it would seem, because the former race leader and pole sitter is crunching down on their back. Avalanche trying to find a way through at this stage. And Jordan Daly, someone off in the background facing the wrong way, but Jordan Daly doesn't want to give this up. And I think, to me, this is evidence that Jordan Daly's going to the end of the race. He's fighting for this.
I think you're right, and that was a little bit of a that was a little bit elbow. He just tapped on the rear left side there. We will see a replay of that coming out of Clubhouse. You see, that could have been a lot worse than it was. And
I think Avalanche has to give that back.
I would agree. I would fully agree with you there, Ryan. And,
Daly's flashing the lights.
Daly is correct. I think Dave's within his rights too. I do not blame him at all. And that was it's still flashing lights coming down into mine shaft, so he's not letting that one go. And why should he? That was a fairly aggressive overtake. It could have potentially put Daly out of the race too. We don't know if that has caused any damage to Daly's car on the rear there. Hopefully it hasn't, because Daly's doing an amazing drive so far this entire race. And that's not the kind of overtake you really want to see here in any of the race series that we do.
No, I think. Avalanche can't give that place back now without a penalty. You have to give the place back within a few corners, according to the RCI rules. So
at the full mercy of the stewards, then.
Yeah, at the mercy of the stewards. It could be that we're wrong. We sit up here in the comms box. The stewards have all the angles. They see all the input. they could judge it as a racing incident if that's what it is. But I get the feeling that Abeladze is probably in for 5-second penalty, I would imagine, something like that. But anyway, it just seems that we'll have to go with what it is, and Abeladze is up into second place. 13.7 seconds between themselves and Nico Quizma. Nico Quizma's got to be going to the end, surely. There's no way they're going for a pit stop now.
I think at this point in time, yeah, you're so far ahead. All you have to do, again, it's the same situation as Andy Boardman in a way. Keep it clean, keep it consistent, and just hope the cars behind don't close into the gap. Obviously, Boardman has a little bit more of a difficult task with that time penalty, but it's the same sort of thing. It's just a case of just keep the car ahead, keep the gap, and try to keep the position really going through Cheetah at the moment. You see what I meant earlier? I said what I said earlier. The right side of the car literally just lifts off the ground and settles down and kind of finds its own pace through Cheetah. Very difficult corner to get right, but so rewarding when you do. And I could say that from watching it in the box to driving it myself when I get the chance to. Quizma enjoying a fairly healthy lead up there up in front. Going back to the incident a little bit, obviously Daly still in the race. Obviously that's a positive, and still on the podium, or set to be on the podium if they can make this extra 20 minutes go. So very interesting mix of strategies going on from what we can see up here.
Yeah, and Bazagi and Verona in the 8 and the 402 respectively, neither of those two have come in to do a pit stop. They're also on no-stop strategies as far as I'm aware, so Jordan Daly is up there on pace, and as far as it looks right now, the no-stop strategy looks like the best strategy. Ertan is look how far Ertan is. He's all the way down in 10th overall. It's really not gone well for him. The pit stop strategy has not worked. So it looks like a tough day in the office for Atabak Ertan. The strategy has not quite worked out. And I'm still monitoring down here the big question about what is going on with Andy Boardman. I mean, does Wolf Matuszka have enough? I mean, I'm looking at it at the moment between Hutchinson, is that 8-2, 2:20? I think it's about 33 seconds between Andy Boardman and Wolf Matuszka.
So Wolf needs to make 15 seconds.
18
seconds. That's fairly significant. I have a question for you, Ryan.
18 seconds in 20 minutes is pretty difficult, but I suppose Wolf Matuszka can do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Anyone can, but a question. It's started becoming a little bit more relevant, actually. I'd say Boardman is currently leading a trail of cars, a trail of GT3s, and I think that they have just made moves on him and gotten through legitimately. If you're Boardman, what do? Do you let them by, or do you keep fighting them and potentially lose the time?
Let them by, but only when it won't lose you time. I think that's how you do it. Let them by on the straights, where you know that they'll pass you. You won't lose too much time, especially if you do it towards the end of the straights, where you would be braking anyway. Or you have a slightly slow exit on a corner.
Was that Boardman going into the back of the GT3 there? Did the GT3 lose it on the corner exit? Because it looked like just as the camera cut away.
It is Boardman.
Yes, that is Boardman with the incident.
Oh no! Oh, and it's all kicked off as well. Two cars have come together right as the incident was going on. We're watching a replay here of Andy Boardman. What exactly happened? You see the GT3 go off, hits the wall, comes back, and Andy Boardman runs into the back. But then disaster happens for Andy Boardman afterwards as he reverses onto the track, scares a couple of GT3s, there's a collision, and then they hit him again. And that car is severely damaged, and it's gone around again. Don't roll onto the track.
Holding the brakes as he should, but that is fairly significant.
There goes Wolf Matuszka, by the way. Just drove past, so that answers our question if he could catch him or not. But oh my word. Andy Boardman, it was going so well, even with the 15-second time penalty. But that's how quick it can change. One mistake from a driver in front of you, and if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, that can be the end of it.
It can, but also, There's still 80 minutes to go. I mean, we've managed to curse the drivers so far, so what's another curse in the way of Wolf yet again? And, we're already potentially looking at a surprise win in GT3. Might we see it in might we see it in the Super Trails too? I mean, it's possible. It's entirely possible.
Well, as if towards the end of the race this couldn't get any more hectic, it all of a sudden has. Mikael Sundstrom, we haven't mentioned him in a while, since his drive-through penalty, and Mikael Sundstrom sitting in, well, third place at the moment, about to be second. As there goes Andy Boardman's. I mean, that car is crunched.
The big munch.
That car is crabbing significantly. Mikael Sundstrom moves up into second place in the Super Trofeo class. In the Pro class, Guglia and Dorber quite a bit further down. Not doing too well. They're behind some of the AM Super Trofeos, so that is quite a difficult day for them so far. But Mikael Sundstrom up into second place after his drive-through penalty. I think he'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say that's a fairly decent result coming out of that. And as you said, Sundstrom we haven't mentioned in quite a while. Looking at Vlad Will in the 88 holding off the 300 in the GT3 class. It's just it's just calm. It's just trying to get my bearings a little bit. There's been so much going on, and looks like Kyalami will be trying to make a move, potentially getting the run into the hairpin coming up here. Will they get the inside? They're taking a look, diving right back behind, thinking a little bit better of it. Vlad going slightly offline. That will gift the 300 car the inside, and that will be the cause of the 300 car getting by and taking 12th place, and that is, I believe, 5th overall for the Silvers.
I don't mean to alarm you, Joshua.
Oh dear.
But Nico Kuzma is lapping quicker than Abuladze.
Wait.
Who's on fresh tyres. He's increased the gap. It's 14.7 seconds. It was about 13.4 earlier.
Looking at Abuladze, it seems to be they
it's
are caught in traffic.
Yeah, I think traffic is probably playing a big part of it, but that is the aim of multi-class. You've got to manage the traffic efficiently. There is some luck involved as well, but they often say you make your own luck in motorsport. And it's not quite working out for the pole sitter at this point in time, and it's working very, very well for Nico Kuzma as we enter the last 15 minutes of the race.
A little bit of an update that I've just seen there. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know how long that's been on screen for, Ryan. Daly with a 5-second time penalty.
Yes, that came through not that long ago, actually. Checking down the list. I did see that come up. I was going to wait until there were a couple other penalties to mention it, but here it is. So, penalty for the 197 makes contact with 35. That's Thomas Baranowski, by the way. 197 makes contact with the 35 whilst lapping them. 35 runs wide off the track and loses a position to the car behind. So that is why Daly has got a 5-second penalty for unnecessary contact with a car in another class.
Yeah, it's obviously not what you want to see or hear, but I mean, it does happen in racing, and passing, as you were saying earlier, passing these other cars, passing the Trofeos, it's not an easy task, and it's very well, it's not easy to get by successfully, but it's very easy to make a mistake, and obviously, judging by the amount of 5-second penalties that we're seeing on the left-hand side there on the timing sheet, it seems to be he's not not the only one having issues. Coming down into the S's now, the 963 of Lysenko. Lysenko coming the P21 again with a 5-second penalty, but chasing down Hutchinson to make up potentially another position in the AM class for the GT3s. Going down in towards Mineshaft now, and blue flags galore at this point in time as we see a sea of Lamborghinis come around the corner. Is that Hutchinson making a move on Podhuizen in the background there. I'm not entirely certain if that is for position or if that's a lapped car. But it could be that Podhuizen has just made the position up too.
Yeah, just watching here. Nico Kuzma continuing onwards, by the way. Just about 12.5 minutes remaining. They're looking pretty good now, although they did lose quite a bit of time. So Abeladze has closed in now. 10.9 seconds is that gap. I get the feeling, Joshua, this is going to be very... It's either going to be Kuzma wins by about 5 or 6 seconds, or this is going to go down to the wire on the last lap. I can't help but feel it can only go one of those two ways. There is a car just rejoining the track there. Is that number 54? I think it was. Just coming back on track. Nico Kuzma will deal with that appropriately. But moving forward, I am investigating with the stewards what the outcome of the 579 and 197 incident is. We still haven't seen any word from that. I'm sure the stewards have got it on the log. They are looking through quite a few incidents at the moment, but I am just checking in on them and making sure that that incident has been caught.
Yeah, that was Gleason, I believe, running wide into mineshaft there. So will be a blue flagged car. Eraser will get through quite safely, but a 15-second time penalty for Eraser as well. So again, it seems to be, I was praising them earlier, but it seems to be that commentator's curse coming in. Commentator's curse coming in. Yeah, no, that potential time penalty on Abeladze, that could turn this race on its head. I mean, looking at things now, Abeladze is going down towards Sunset, where Koizma is coming through Clubhouse. So, one straight and one corner distance between them. As you guys can see on the timing sheet, that's 10.825 seconds till it updates again. So the gap is closing, and it does seem that Abeladze has also caught up to a little bit of traffic. So that plus a potential penalty, that might make or break his race, or their race, for today. Wolf Matushka, I believe, being lapped at the moment by...
He was just signalling which way he was going to go. Very sensible there from Wolf Matushka.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where experience really comes in, and the thank you flash from the GT3 up ahead.
It's always good to get a thank you flash, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta love manners in sim racing, right?
There's two ways you could take the. There's two ways you. Well, there's 3 ways you can take the flash. There's the angry flash, which everyone knows. There's thank you flash, which is a bit harder to a bit harder to pick up because sometimes people mistake it for the angry flash. And then there's the, often you see cars from the same team or cars with drivers that know each other. Look at themselves a little hello flash in the middle of the race, hello and on your way. as I had one in the 6-hour enduro for GT4s that we held on the weekend. Gave Mike Noble a little flash as he went by, and he gave me a little wiggle back on the next straight. So, some nice communication. Nice communication there between drivers. And you do see it quite a lot, but well, flashing of the lights aside, Wolf Matushka on his way to collect a win in the first race of the season for the Super Trofeo class, and looking pretty comfortable out there at the moment. I would say he is the only Super Trofeo driver out there that has just looked planted today, given that we haven't seen too much of him, but every time we have cut over towards him, he looks pretty comfortable in that car.
It goes to show that consistency really is key in racing, and it's not all about outright speed. I know that Boardman, was very similar on pace in places, maybe even a little bit faster on others, but again, just the ability to keep it on the road is important. And speaking of Boardman, dropping down to P38, as you guys can see on the timing sheet there, the white pro symbol in a sea of red. So not exactly where Boardman is. Well, we're used to seeing Boardman, to be fair. See the 69 car in the foreground there, and about to be lapped by Les Stevenson in the 46 Trofeo. in the hunt
We
down to.
completely jinxed it, didn't we? We said it could be Andy Boardman's day to get a win to start the season and potentially lead the championship, and
Sometimes
now,
being a
now it's
commentator.
not. Now it's not gone that way at all. If you believe in the commentator's curse, you'll tell me I told you so. If you don't believe in the commentator's curse, you might be doubting yourself right now.
I legitimately didn't before this started, but now I'm scared as to how much power we actually have over the outcome of this race.
Well, Jordan Daly, has his fate in his own hands to an extent. Bazagi in behind him, trying to get through for third place. He's technically already ahead of Jordan Daly because of that 5-second penalty that Daly picked up earlier on in the race for a contact with Thomas Baranowski. But he won't want to let Bazagi by on track. He's going to hope he can hold him up for as long as possible. And 7 minutes to go in the race is not too much longer. But Jordan Daly does have quite a job on his hands. And who knows, if there's a mistake from the number 8, that could allow Daly to secure that third place. If he makes a mistake, loses plenty of time, Daly just needs to make sure there's a 5-second gap and he can secure that podium. But we'll have to see how all of that develops over the course of the next few laps.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if at all at any point in Kyalami there's any corner that is ready and sat there willing to kill you. So, I mean, we've seen it several times before, especially Cheetah coming up now. That we've seen it before. That inside curb is absolutely huge. Daly running a little bit wide on the exit there, and every time you run wide on the exit there, you maximize the amount of track and you can gain some time, but at the same time, you also risk lighting up the rear tires and losing the back end. So it's still all to play for with 6 minutes on the clock. On board, not on board with, but we are watching number 6 of Nico Kumpu coming into the pits. That was
Splash and
unexpected.
dash. Splash and dash at the end.
Potentially. Ertan will then inherit 7th place, so making up for the slight bit of contact earlier, plus the tyre change in the pit stop that cost them so much. Chasing down Razor with a Razor's 15-second time penalty, that will promote Ertan to 6th place. And looking at it now in our little broadcasting chat, Tom has just said to me now, number 197, so that is Daly, and 579, that is Abuladze, NFA, so
no further action then, so
yes.
The incident we saw between Abuladze and Daly has been judged as no further action, so the stewards have seen everything they need to see, and they've judged that it doesn't need to be looked at any more than it already has. Oh, Abuladze's just been hit!
Oh!
Abuladze's been hit by the 54, and
that may have turned this on its head even more. I don't think Abuladze was going to catch Quizma. There was still 10 seconds between them.
This seems like a really long way back. Ooh.
That was huge. That was significant.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a steward's verdict on that before the race is over. That is unfortunate for Abuladze. Nico Kuzma has pitted, by the way. He came in for a splash and dash right at the end. We didn't spot that in amongst the replay. So Abuladze has inherited the lead of the race with 4 minutes to go, despite that incident. That has just happened. That's promoted Daly to 2nd, who is still going, by the way.
The other question is, Abuladze is currently being caught. We see Daly now coming through Sunset. How damaged is Abuladze's car? With 4 minutes left, just about. With 4 minutes left, I dare say if the damage to Abuladze's car is significant, that might mean that Daly could inherit the win minus the 5-second penalty.
It entirely depends on what he can pull out with that 5-second penalty. That has turned almost everything on its head at this stage in the race. Abuladze does lead, but look at the way Daly is catching him. That was a 1.4 second gap. It's not 1.4 seconds anymore. That car's got serious rear end damage on it. My word. Well, if the first round of the Lamborghini Super Cup could not get any more hectic than this, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. You know, Bazaki could still win this race.
Yeah, I mean,
at this stage as well. I mean, he's got no penalty. He hasn't got a damaged car. He could end up on the top step of the podium here today. These three are competing for it. Daly is closing down on Abeladze. And this has all come together right at once, right at the end of the race. We have 2.5 minutes to go, Joshua.
yeah.
Who's running on?
I mean, this is potentially a three-way fight. But okay, let's take a breather with 2.5 minutes left to go. Let's slow things down just a touch. Bazaki needs to just not make a mistake. That 5-second time penalty of Daly is pretty significant. I reckon as long as Bazaki doesn't make a mistake, that win may be inherited. Abeladze, looking at the lap times, a 142.7, two Daly's 142.2, so that gap is closing. You can see that. That is significantly getting shorter. I would not be surprised to find if Daly does find a way through. Catching up is one thing, getting by is another. It's difficult to say. This is
race has been turned on its head well and truly here. And,
it really is, because
here we go, because it's going to be the final lap of the race on the next time by for these three. Daly just made a mistake coming out of Leocop. That's hindered him slightly, given Abeladze a bit of breathing room. But everything could still be turned on its head here. We don't know what exactly is going to happen. But here we go then. Down towards Cheetah and the final corner. There's going to be one more lap. This is it, the final lap. Andy Boardman's got a 15-second penalty at the end of the race just to add to his day of misery so far today. I feel bad for Andy Boardman at this stage, but here we go. Final lap of the race. It is Abeladze for Daly and Bazaki. These are the three competing for the win right at the end here. Abeladze is in the lead, 1.3 seconds. Daly has a 5-second penalty. There's contact!
No,
Down towards the second corner, and Bazaki's going to wait. He's not going to take the place for Daly like that. That's well done from Bazaki. Plenty of respect. The replay not quite showing exactly what we wanted to see. Bazaki clearly feels he's at fault for the incident and has given it back to Jordan Daly. Doesn't want to take it like that, and big amount of respect from doing the right thing and not taking the position. But that has guaranteed Abeladze's place as the race winner as long as he can keep it on the track for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, it's just a gentle cruise really to the end, and Abeladze going from the seemingly obvious winner to the unlikely winner in the space of just an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, who would have thought pulling back from that pit stop? But you know, I mean, that's fairly significant, but at the same time, they have done it. Only a few more corners left to go as we go through Cheetah, quitting to Jordan Daly, holding off Bazaki. Bazaki's still trying to find a way through, but again, at this point in time, doesn't really need to. That 5-second penalty will essentially guarantee Bazaki the second. Actually, no, will it? I mean, I guess the steward's decision.
Well, here we go. It is a race win for Vyacheslav Abeladze. Has crossed the line to win the first race of the Lamborghini Super Cup. Jordan Daly will finish second on track, but he will not finish second on the podium. That will go to Bazaki, who crosses the line behind him, and Verona, who also has a 5-second time penalty, will not stand on the third step of the podium either. Jordan Daly, I think he has done enough to guarantee himself that third on the podium, but my word, an exciting end to a fantastic race. A racer crosses the line, he's got a 15-second time penalty. I think that is enough to save him from being overtaken by Matthew Kingston Lee right at the end. I think it's just enough for him to savour that, so he will get the silver class win as I expect. It looks like Mark Peters will come home for the AM class win, and then the Super Trofeos, Wolf Matuszka will come and cross the line in the Pro class for the Super Trofeos. He will take the win, Mikael Sundström will follow him in second, and in the Super Trofeo class, taking the win in the AM category will be Lee Stevenson. And my word, what a start to the championship. I mean, it all got a bit crazy at the end.
Yeah, usually it's the start of these races that winds up a little bit messy, and I mean, an hour and 15 in these cars, this track does take a lot out of you. It's a very, very difficult track, and to keep up the pace for so long, especially with a mix of cars around you, I mean, it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world. But I suppose if there's anything I've learned today, Ryan, it is if you want your predictions to come true, curse them and then curse everyone around them just that little bit more.
Definitely seems the way, and as all the cars go around now for their victory lap, the cool down lap after the race. Well, it is time that we give you a little bit of a rundown of what you can expect going forward in RCI or on RCI TV for the rest of the week. We will have on Thursday the continuation of the GT4 Championship Season 4. They had just, I think, as far as I'm aware, they just finished coming off of Donington Park, was it? No, they've just come off as Zolder, sorry. They've just come off Zolder. They have Donington Park up next. That's why I had Donington in my mind. So they've got Donington Park this Thursday, and you can catch that live here on RCI TV. Then on Friday, we have the continuation of the Friday Endurance Championship, and I do know that they have just come off of Silverstone, so they'll be at Zandvoort for this Friday. And then on Saturday, the Night Owl Championship, they have just kick-started the season with Imola and Snetterton, so they will also be heading to Donington this weekend, and that'll be live on Saturday. We will be back on Monday, of course, for round 2, which will be taking place at Silverstone. A lot of British tracks around all at the same time here at RCI, but we'll be back in a week's time for Silverstone. Big shout out to the partners and sponsors: Race Department, AK Informatica, Driver 61, Fanatec, and Sim Racing GP. They make all of this stuff possible here at RCI. Of course, Race Department helped RCI get off its feet. AK run the servers for our events. Driver 61. I mean, if you want to be as quick as some of the drivers you've seen out here today in the pro class, go over to Driver 61, get yourself some coaching. It is fantastic and very cheap as well. $10 gets you access to the Sim Racing Academy, and you can save 25% by using the code in the description. Fanatec, you can use our Fanatec affiliate link in the description if you want to buy any of their gear and support RCI for no further costs. And Sim Racing GP, fantastic platform they have for hosting events and communities over there, so make sure to go check them out. Maybe you can start your own Sim Racing community today with Sim Racing GP. Of course, big thank you to everyone who came out to watch the stream here tonight. We've loved having you all in the chat, giving your opinions, reactions to everything that's been going on. Leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here. We really, really do appreciate it. It helps RCI grow as a channel, and we recently hit 250,000 views on the channel all time. So you guys are the real heroes out there in the chat, making all those achievements happen for the RCI TV channel. That's been it from me for today. And from Joshua at Devonshire, Jake Boswell's done a fantastic job behind the cameras. The stewards have done a great job as well throughout the course of this race. And we'll be back in a week's time to do it all over again at Silverstone. But for now, enjoy the rest of your week.